radio? Radio, cuando hablas de radio es como que creo que todos es como de dónde naces.
They weren't doing it on purpose, but they dropped me off. Okay, Miguel, bye.
The range, how do you decide the range?
And so the direct.
A veces yo corría al cerco y nos daba 3 sets.
Good. Thank you for coming over and having this conversation with
Sure.
us. So I wanted to tell, for the people who don't know, what is ANIMO Theater?
ANIMO Theater is a theater company based in Camarillo, and we produce plays that are bilingual plays, that are musical, that incorporate mariachi music, and that are for diverse communities, often that are not portrayed or they don't see themselves in theater. So, but we also have a mainstream following that like our shows.
Okay. And what is your role in the theater?
I do everything. So I load the truck and I unload the truck.
Okay.
And
everything in between?
And everything in between. I'm the director, artistic director. I'm also the producer.
Okay.
Last year I was the writer. I wrote the play, I Chihuahua.
That's right.
Which was based on Oklahoma, kind of like modeled after Oklahoma.
And this year you have another one.
We do.
And you didn't write this one?
No, a good friend of mine, Roxanne Schroeder Arce from the University of Texas. She's a published playwright.
Okay.
And she wrote Mariachi Girl about 5 years ago when she was teaching at Fresno State University. And she staged it in Austin, Texas. And it's been shown now in various places. It's been produced Stockton, California, Riverside, Chicago, throughout Texas, and now we've been putting it on since February.
Yeah. I had the privilege to go see it.
Good.
And I have to tell you, it hit so many things for me.
Good.
Especially the scene with the Barbies. It really painted a beautiful picture. As far as what dialogue goes inside of us sometimes, of trying to find your identity, and in that using language to find your identity. It was such a huge scene for me. When you read it, what made you say, okay, this is what hits home?
I think that the father, which I think Carlos Ozuna does an amazing job. He's a professional mariachi, and he is. This is only his second show, so as an actor, I thought he's doing really well. I think that his role in the arc that he has a true arc through the story, where he starts and where he finishes. And it's exciting to see that his daughter, played by Stephanie Lopez, who's very, very, very talented. She is able to not give up on her dream, and he moves from being very traditional and rigid to accepting that his daughter is very gifted and that she deserves to be a mariachi singer, just like him, even though their family tradition forbids women to be mariachis.
Yeah, and that's another thing that this play, using bilingualism and using the culture, it touches on so many themes.
It does.
It hit home where the machismo and things are changing now, and I feel this play kind of shows how things are changing, but it does take time. Yeah,
right now the Me Too movement is very strong, so I think the play speaks to the empowerment. And it's often a very cliche word, but the empowerment of women, and to stand up for what they believe in, to be allowed to be taken seriously, to be respected, and to even at the young age to know that they're not a weaker gender. And I think that you hit on the Barbie dolls. In the play, it's supposed to be a 10-year-old girl, right? But she's really going through this identity crisis. And fortunately, her teacher helps her to discover and appreciate her background. And her mom also plays a role. The brother plays a role. And so it kind of resets. It takes everybody to the present, how it should be done. And all this through the eyes of a 12-year-old girl, 10-year-old girl.
10, 12, yeah. The teacher.
Yes.
I loved her character, especially she represents what many of us go through. I don't know about you, but I've had experiences where people look at me, and I start speaking in Spanish. I used to work in customer service, and they would go, "Oh, oh, you're Hispanic. Oh, you speak Spanish," and it just. I never kind of went through that until I was in the service industry and I was dealing with people where you get looked at and they go, no, they just make assumptions out of you, and so I thought that was a great character.
Yeah, and her name, Mrs. Parker, so, and she's very white, right? And Sita, Stephanie Lopez, she's dark skin, right? So she makes assumptions about her teacher. And then her teacher kind of sets the record straight that she speaks Spanish, that she was raised in Mexico, and then she sings, and she sings a beautiful song, "No, I'm Not the Same," and it really hits home the message that to Sita that to look at people more than just the color of their skin.
Yeah, and within our own culture.
And within our own culture. Because even the mom, when she meets, Sita's mom meets with the teacher, same thing happens again, And then she says, well, I'm from Zacatecas.
Right.
And it's the same state in Mexico that Sita's mom and dad are from.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was very powerful, great scene. The other thing I wanted to kind of take it back a little bit was the scene where the father, Carlos plays it, and he's fighting with his wife. They're struggling through this change, right? Change was hard for him, and I feel that many Latinos, we go through that. And at some point, I don't know if you felt it, but the room, the audience, I felt the tension right along with them, because they were struggling through this, and he really embodied what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, Carlos knows he's a professional mariachi, right? So the character in the show, Sita's dad, he is a frustrated mariachi. He wanted to come to this country and be a big star. And now he still plays mariachi, but they play for restaurants and they're going gig by gig. And he doesn't want that for his daughter.
Yeah.
He wants his daughter to have the American dream, to be educated. And then he even says not to go play mariachi music at some Mexican restaurant for some white people. They don't even know what they're singing about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what he wants for his. And so they fight. Him and his wife fight. The wife takes Sita's side, the daughter's side, and there's a big blowout, and then they sing about it. And the audience likes that because it's very realistic.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one moment in the play where it doesn't feel like this lighthearted musical. There's actually a very serious component because the audience relates to it.
Exactly. Going back to the Miss Parker, she was singing with mariachi in English. I thought that was a beautiful piece. Was that part of the original play?
That's original music by Hector Martinez Morales. He wrote the lyrics and the music, very beautiful music. And that one is No, I'm Not the Same, Never Mind My Name. So she sings to Sita this nice, it's almost like a Disney type, When You Dream Upon a Star, it makes no difference who you are, right? So it's got that kind of vibe. And it inspires Sita. She also gives Sita a book of Lucha Reyes. Yeah. So she tells her, look, there's been mariachi singers for many decades. One of them is Lucha Reyes. The joke in there is she says Leche Reyes, instead of Lucha, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I remember.
Leche means milk. So, those are little inside jokes. But the music, there's several original pieces that capture the moment. Then we also add traditional songs because Stephanie Lopez is a phenomenal talent. And so we wanted for her to shine in those one moments. So the audience kind of thinks, well, she might sing. And then when she comes out with Lucha Reyes, she just...
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, she just does an amazing job. So we picked a couple of songs where her voice would really stand out.
You did. She's definitely talented and great casting.
So she was featured on The Voice, La Voz Kids
Oh,
in Telemundo.
okay.
She was a finalist. And then she was also featured on Tengo Talento. And she did really well on that show.
Yeah.
And she was only 14 when she started with us, and she just turned 15. So she's very talented. I always tell everybody, I work with a lot of people. Out of 1,000 people, she's one of those 1 in 1,000, maybe 1 in 5,000.
You could definitely see that through
Yeah.
her performance.
Yeah.
No.
And she's going to get better.
Yes, yeah. So the other thing with bilingualism, speaking of it and how you use it in your plays, you're currently getting your master's,
I am.
and you're getting it in.
It's a Master's of Fine Arts.
Okay.
So it's a terminal degree. I want to teach theater.
Okay.
So I already have a master's degree in public administration, but now I'm going back to school, and I'm an old man.
Well, however you want to describe yourself, but you're
very
young at heart.
They're very
the way I
young
see
in
it.
my class. So, but with my wife, we started ANIMO Theater, and Jennifer, and she's been helping me. And so I'm staging these plays in the best way we can, the most professional way we can, so that I can have some hands-on experience. And when I teach,
Yes.
I want young people to know that, we can produce something together.
Yeah. And so my question is, you're putting on bilingual plays, you're getting your master's, you could have gone and done English plays. Why bilingual plays?
Great question. Because our language is beautiful. And I don't know if folks, I don't know when this is going to air, but just 2 days ago, there was a big old thing that came on social media because one crazy lawyer from Manhattan started berating some workers at a restaurant because they were speaking Spanish.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And
yeah.
so, yeah, I mean, it's gone viral. And this country doesn't really have an official language. This country was made by immigrants. In New York, there's over 200 languages, just in New York.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's beautiful. In this state, California, it was originally Mexico. So a lot of people don't even know that. So there's a lot of history here, and I want folks to be proud of their history, their culture. And language is very powerful, and Spanish is a beautiful language.
Right.
And so I think that this play is bilingual, so it's in English and it has Spanish. So that's why everybody enjoys the play, because you can understand it.
You have the ability to reach more audiences that way.
Right. And so our audience for this play has been about 40% non-Latino. So that's great. That's what we want. We want folks to come see the play and kind of take a sneak peek into a Latino family.
And as far as bilingual and the language Spanish in this country, how have you seen it change, even in your studies, the people you come across?
Yeah, I think that when I grew up, there was a big push for bilingual education. And so I remember in elementary school being taught both at the same time. I learned Spanish first, and then I learned English. And then I got traumatized because my parents dropped me off. They weren't doing it on purpose, but they dropped me off. Okay, Miguel, bye. And then, and all of a sudden all these teachers are speaking to me in English, and I freaked out. And I was traumatized a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And so I had a little brother, and Andres.
I do.
And so I taught him English right away.
Oh.
I'm like, you're not going to be going through what I went through.
Oh.
So when he went first grade or kindergarten, he's a very fast learner. He's already speaking English, and then he and I, from then on, always spoke English.
Oh. So maybe this is a good time to switch it up to español.
Está bien.
Okay.
Hablamos.
Okay. So esa fue como una técnica de defensa para que no para que no lo lastimaran a él, para que no lo hicieran menos.
Sí, porque pues cuando uno tiene 5 años, tú no sabes lo que está pasando. Te quedas como traumado de que de repente, what's your name? Y no sabes ni contestarles, ¿no?
Correct.
Y yo pasé un tiempo difícil, unos meses.
Okay.
Y ya después él y yo empezamos a hablar en inglés y ya desde ahí ya es raro hablarle en español a mi hermano, aunque a veces lo hacemos. Pero eso fue bueno, eso fue una buena lección que en este país es difícil, o es todo español o todo en inglés. Y no hay como una coordinación con los... la gente no aprecia los dos idiomas a veces.
Right. Yeah. A mí también me ha pasado eso donde te ven raro, te ven, o te hacen a un lado.
Sí, ahora en mi familia hubo una crisis porque Andrés de repente a los 14 años dijo, no more Spanish, only English,
Oh, okay.
to my parents. And you met my dad,
Sí,
may he rest in peace.
Yes.
And there was a big old moment, big old blowout during dinner, and my dad like banned him, we basically said no one speak to him in English, only Spanish. And so Andres finally broke.
Oh.
After like 5 days, we didn't talk to him.
Yeah. But your dad, he wanted to make sure.
It was a huge blowout. And so my dad said, inside these 4 walls, you're in Mexico.
Okay.
Outside is America.
Got it.
Here is Mexico.
That's beautiful.
When you have your own house, then you make your own decisions. Here, you're in Mexico. You're a product of Mexicans.
Right? So let's embrace it.
You are Mexican.
Yeah. It's important, I feel, to take that stance.
Yeah.
But, los papás son los primeros que tienen que decidir eso.
Sí.
Y siento que a veces, como dices tú pasas por un momento que te trauma y en esta ocasión fuiste tú, pero hay veces que papás no quieren que sus hijos se sientan así.
Es lo que pasó, que mucha gente quiere que los hijos hablen inglés y nunca aprenden el español y pierden la oportunidad de ser bilingües. Y en este país es mejor hablar 2 idiomas.
Pues somos muchos en español.
I'm going to say real quick, the lawyer who chastised the Spanish speakers, he puts on his website that he's bilingual. You know why? Because he wants clients that are business, yeah.
Oh, but come on.
No, seriously, check it out.
I'll look at it.
So, it can't be just it's got to be a two-way street,
Not just for the benefit of
Yeah,
business.
if you're going to economically benefit from our community, then you also have to celebrate with us. And you have to not ostracize those that speak Spanish or that are monolingual. And in this country, in this county, there's trilingual because like Mixtecos, some of them, they don't even speak Spanish. They speak their own native language. So they need services and they need, we need to work with each other. We need to help each other.
Yeah.
Celebrate each other.
Yeah. I was telling somebody the other day, we had a representative from ICOP come in and they have interpreters for indigenous language. And I thought we're Latino, but we are a bit removed from our indigenous roots, where we're from. And so I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Like here we are, we have 2 languages, but really even we as Latinos have that other, have another challenge. Why don't, we have indigenous languages.
Well, because we stereotype and we discriminate within our own. And in Mexico, it's economics. The indigenous folks are poor. Right. So the lighter skin you are, the more Spanish blood you have, and the chances are the better economically you're doing. And last year when we did Chihuahua, we featured the Taromaran Indians, the Rarámuri.
Yes, I know.
So we wanted to make sure that they were well represented in the play. So same thing in Mexico. I remember one time I was flying an airplane with my uncle, and I asked him, Tío, how come like in the novelas, there's all these white people,
right?
and there's a lot of Mexicans that are dark skinned. Why are they all white?
Exactly.
And he said, Mijo, it's TV, they're movie stars,
Uh-huh.
and that was it. I remember hearing that was a lamest, and I love my uncle. May he rest in peace, great guy.
But it's not even him.
Yeah.
It's what he grew up around.
I was 8 years old asking him that question. I remember him saying, "It's because they're white skin and they're better looking."
Yeah.
Because they associated the lighter you are, the better looking you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, BS.
Yeah, exactly. But and that's where we as a culture have to kind of change that within ourselves. I feel in order to then have other cultures and the rest of the world kind of go, okay.
Yeah, and I purposely for this play, Mariachi Girl, and you'll show a graphic for the audience. She's dark skinned, and Carlos is very dark.
Yeah.
And I intentionally wanted that
Yeah.
and the makeup wants to light her up. No.
Just leave it.
Just the way she is, get the shine off or whatever. But she's young, she's pretty. You don't need to put a lot of makeup on her.
Yeah.
And you don't need to lighten him up.
Right.
So I said, nope, no makeup that way.
Yeah. No, and that's what I love, that not is it just bilingual, but we are multiracial ourselves.
We absolutely
And
are.
we need to put out material that shows that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm not gonna. All the shows that we do, I always make sure that there's a diversity from our own people represented.
Something I wanted to touch on as far as, because you're in the MFA program, do they, and I know it's the theater, but do they talk about bilingualism and maybe how it affects
Absolutely.
media, the brain?
Right now, Coco was a smashing. I mean, it was a huge hit, right? So there's this big movement to do movies in English and in Spanish without instructions. Eugenio Derbez.
Yes.
He's a big star now.
He's definitely setting that.
Yeah,
that
and
path.
Shape of Water with Guillermo del Toro from Mexico. So there's this power in bilingualism there's a new series called Vida.
Yes.
And so that explores Latinx and transgender roles. There's this movement now to portray or to use both languages naturally. Like what we're doing now. We're going in and out in English and Spanish. It's natural. That's how we speak.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I have nieces and nephews, and again, depending on what the parents set for them is kind of how they're picking all of this up. And I find it unfortunate when the parents don't kind of think about their own experience and then say, I don't want it to be like that, but in a way where they help their kids embrace all aspects of our culture.
Well, they should go to Mexico. They should go on a field
have
trip
to-
somewhere, Tijuana even. I don't care. Just
Even,
go
yeah.
to San Diego. I mean, go somewhere where they celebrate our culture, the music. There's a good restaurant in LA that reopened, La Fonda, right next to where we did the show. That's where mariachi was reignited in Southern California. Mariachi camperos de Naticano in the 70s. There was this renaissance of mariachi music in Southern California in that restaurant.
Oh.
And so friends of ours, John and Juanita Hinojosa, have restarted that restaurant. And that's a place where you can go and buy a nice meal and listen to mariachi music and get that exposure. I think it's a great opportunity.
That's the kind of restaurant I wish we had out in Ventura County. When I walked in there, it celebrates mariachi, and what the father in the play in Mariachi Girl says, I don't want my daughter just playing in some rinky-dink restaurant. And I feel like thus far that's kind of what's happened here and there.
Yeah.
And the Mariachi La Fonda, the restaurant, it makes it what it should be.
Well, mariachi music is like Mexican, like what jazz is to the United States. Mariachi is very unique to Mexico, native to Mexico, and it is at an elite level of instruments to play the instruments. So the music is at a super high level, and like jazz, there's a lot of impromptu and a lot of just folks who jam out, and so mariachi music, and also very emotional. So jazz has a lot of ups and downs and a lot of emotions. So does mariachi. So yeah, mariachi is a form that needs to be celebrated, and unfortunately, a lot of times, some cheesy Mexican restaurant, and then you got some not great mariachi music players, and they're getting away with murder, playing some horrible sound. Doesn't even sound like mariachi music.
Sometimes, yeah.
So sometimes, I hope that the audience, if they have a chance to go see Mariachi Girl, is that the Aguilas, Mariachi Aguilas, the J. Carlos Osuna, that's a very top of the line mariachi from Oxnard. Everybody in that group is from Ventura County.
Yeah, and I've seen them for years, and I'm so glad that they're doing this.
Yes.
Because they are, one of the better ones, and
The pride of this county.
Very disciplined, very talented. So I'm so happy to see all of you all come together. And for any information, we'll send them to the website. And I hope it's a good show. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. This has been great. I can't believe we've already had.
Para más información, visite la página web y las redes sociales de nuestros invitados. For more information on our guests, please visit their website and their social media pages.